Okay, we are on the second day of Matrices, Unit 9. So you're going to need a TI-84. If you don't have one, you can just use the one that's on your Chromebook. All right, so we're gonna use the determinant of a matrix to find the area of a triangle, the inverse of a matrix, and solve linear equations. So let's find out what the determinant is here. So we've got any type of square matrix, okay? So if you have the same number of rows and columns, you can see if there is a determinant. Sometimes there isn't. If the determinant, sometimes the determinant is 0. We'll see. But it looks like this. It's denoted as, and it looks like absolute value. Okay, so the determinant of a 2 by 2 matrix can be found by multiplying diagonally A times D, those elements, and then subtract C times B. Okay, so to find the determinant of a 3 by 3 matrix, we're going to have to rewrite the first 2 rows right at the end here. So here is our original matrix, and then we rewrite those rows right here so we can multiply, because if you're going this way first, you're starting A times E times I plus B times F times G plus C times D times H. You're going to run off the screen if you don't have them rewritten. And then subtract minus GEC plus HFA plus, I can barely see these now, IF, is that B? B. Okay. Oh, it's written right here. Okay. So that's all you got to do. And you're actually not even going to have to do this because you can do this on the calculator I'm about to show you. So find the determinant of a matrix. All right. So when I was in college, we did not have graphing calculators. So we had to do all of this stuff in this lesson by hand. I know, back in the Stone Ages, okay? It's a good idea to just do a couple of these by hand so you understand the process before you start using the calculator for everything. So we don't want to just start with the calculator. We want to quickly start with multiplying first. So 5 times 1 is 5, minus 4 times 3 is 12. The determinant of this matrix is -7. Now, flip my screen here and come over to the TI-84. If you press second and then the inverse button, which is this x to the -1, it says matrix in blue right above it. You can go over and we got to first edit the 2 by 2. So I'm selecting the first one. We're gonna call it A, matrix A, and I made it a 2 by 2. On your calculator, it will say, I think it has 1s there, and you have to change the numbers to 2 by 2. But once you change them to 2 by 2, then it opens up this box for you, and you can type in the numbers, which I've already done. I already typed the numbers in. So now the calculator has those numbers, that's matrix A. Okay, so then you go back to your the home screen. You say, all right, calculator, I want you to find the determinant of the matrix A. Well, now we go back to matrix, and we go over to math, because we're doing math now, and we're finding the determinant, which is option enter number 1. Finding the determinant of, and we have to tell the calculator which matrix we want to find the determinant of. In this case, we've already entered those values in for A. So we say, all right, we want the name. The name of the matrix is A. So we're entering determinant. We want to find the determinant of matrix A. We press enter, and it gives it to us. And that is exactly what we found by hand when we did it. So, yeah, so there's that. So to do this by hand, I'm going to rewrite 2, 4, 3, and then normally on a quiz, and this is the regular quiz, not for the online quizzes that we're doing for COVID and everything. I make them do this by hand, or you guys do it by hand. So 2 times 1 times -2 plus -1 times 0 times 3. Anything times 0 is 0. So that's 0, okay? Plus -3 times 4 times -4. And then minus, and then the other way around, boom, boom, boom. I usually do those other 3 in a different color so everyone can kind of see. There we go. But again, we've got another 0. So it's -4 plus 0 plus 48 minus -9 plus 0 plus 8. And then you order of operations it, and you should get 45. If you put it into your calculator, you'll get the exact same thing. moving on. This is the U-try. If you want to pause and take a look at it, you may. And here are the quick directions on how to enter a matrix into your calculator. If you want to screenshot that or take a picture, that's what I did earlier. All right, so next one. To find the area of a triangle, we're going to use the determinant. So the way this works is, you know how it's 1/2 the base times the height is the formula, okay? This is going to give you basically the base times the height. However, sometimes it comes out as negative, and we are finding area, okay? So obviously our answer is going to be positive. That's why there's a plus minus in front. So in case it turns out negative, and we've got an example that does, you know that it's not going to be a negative area, okay? So whatever number you get, you just make it positive. So let's go ahead and start. So we've got, it says, off the coast of California lies a triangular region of the Pacific Ocean where huge populations of sea lions and seals live. The triangle is formed by imaginary lines connecting Bodega Bay, I don't even know these places, the Farallon Islands and Año Nuevo Island, as shown in the picture. Okay, so here, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Use the determinant to estimate the area of the region. So we have to find the area of this triangle. So we go ahead and we put the coordinates in, and for our last column, we go ahead and put in ones. Now, they can be in whatever order you want. Okay, that's just the order I decided to put them in. -1, 41, and then I did 0, 0, and then I did 38, -43. Okay, so when we do this by hand, we're going to write out, recopy the first 2 rows, and then we multiply. Boom, boom, boom. Other color. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So if you do this by hand, you'll get 1558 minus 43, and then you take half of it, you get approximately 757.5. Okay. If you did this on the calculator, and I already have this inputted into the calculator as A. No, sorry, B. If I do 1/2, okay, so I'm just going to put it 0.5, whatever, okay, times, and we want the determinant of it, so we go ahead to second matrix, and we want to do the determinant, so determinant of what matrix, now we have to tell them what matrix name we want. Gee, I hope this is right. Done so many problems, I think that's the right matrix. There we go, we get the same answer. A lot quicker, a lot faster, a lot less mistakes if you use the calculator. So moving on to the last one here. This is a U-try. It says find the area. Just want to show you that, do you see how inside the parentheses here we end up with a negative value? This is where the plus minus comes in, because our answer is not going to be -34. You use whichever plus or minus, we use whichever sign is appropriate to make your answer positive. Okay. And that should be units squared because it's area, and I don't think they gave us units in that particular problem. Okay, so this is not in your notes if you printed them from my Google Drive, but you'll see when we add, subtract, and multiply matrices, we can do that. We just can't divide them, but what we can do is we can multiply by the inverse matrix. Just like if you have this equation here, 3/2 x equals 6. We can multiply both sides by 2/3, which is the multiplicative inverse, okay, to solve for x. And that's kind of what we're doing with matrices. So you can use an inverse matrix to help us solve an equation with only square matrices. It has to be a 2x2, 3x3, 4x4. And the inverses only exist for square matrices, and not every square matrix has an inverse. Okay, so the n by n identity matrix I is a matrix with ones on the main diagonal and then zeros everywhere else. If A is an n by n matrix and I is the n by n identity matrix, then AI equals A equals IA. It's commutative. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at here the inverse. So there's a formula for this, and again, you're going to be using your calculator, but you need to see it by hand. To find the inverse of the matrix, you're taking the matrix, you switch the A and the B location, and you make B and C negative. They stay in the same place, but they become negative. And then this is, and you multiply by 1 over the determinant. I had to do this all by hand back in the day. If the determinant equals 0, then there is going to be no inverse. So let's see, find the inverse of the matrix. So to do this, for one example 3, we're going to find the determinant, okay, which is 3 times 5 minus 2 times 8, and we get -1. That -1 goes right here in the formula. And then remember, when we're writing this matrix, we're switching the D and the A and making the B and C negative. And now all you got to do is just, 1 over -1 is just -1. You're just making all those values negative. So 5 becomes -5, -8 becomes 8, so 2 and -3. And there you go. If you put that in the calculator, the way it would look would be like this. Let's see if I can, I don't think I put that in yet. So let's do that. I'm going to do matrix, second matrix. I'm going to go ahead and start with D. Let's edit. Start with D. We want to make it a 2 by 2. And then we enter the values in. Shoot, let me pause and figure. Okay, 3, 8, and then 2, and then 5. Okay, now that I've entered all this, I've told the calculator what matrix D is. Now I'm going to go back and tell the calculator to find the inverse of it. And the way we do that is we go to second matrix. We tell them the name of the matrix. In this case, it's D. And all we got to do is push this x to the -1 button. Boom, like that. There we go. There's our inverse. We just did that by hand. We get that same answer. Here. See? So the calculator can do it for you. If you end up with fractions, okay, so if you've typed this in the calculator and you get decimals, you can always just do, right on the next line, you can just do math frac, which is math, enter, enter. Okay, now I already had whole numbers for this example, but if they were decimals, it would change it into a fraction, if it can happen. But that's how you get these fractions, if you want them. So I think I just explained those to you. All right, okay, so to solve for, okay, once you have your matrix in your calculator, you can do this. Okay, solve the matrix equation, AX equals B. I love these. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to multiply, if we have AX equals B, we're going to multiply by the inverse both sides, just like I showed you with those numbers, okay, with the 2/3 and the 3/2. Because then the inverse of A times A, and you have to do that on the same side as the A. It's not commutative. Those will end up canceling each other out, and you'll have X isolated. So basically all you got to do is enter your matrix for A, your matrix for B, and then tell the calculator we want to multiply the inverse of A times B. And when you do that, you're putting it in the calculator as names. We want A with the inverse times B. And then you press enter and it gives it to you. You just have to make sure you do it in the right order. You can't be switching these around. You can't put the A inverse on the other side. Just be careful with that. So here's the U-try if you'd like to try it. And if you do an example like this U-try, and you don't get it and you're having trouble, you can just email me, or you can ask me in class. You can say, Ms. Helbing, can you start with the U-try, and tell me where? And I'm like, yes, let's do it. Well, whatever you need. Okay, this is the best. Solving systems of equations using a calculator. You're never going to solve a system of equations again by graphing, by linear combinations, or substitution that you did back in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. You've got matrices now. It's so much easier. So awesome. Okay, so we're going to make a matrix with our coefficients. Okay, so 2, we've got -1 in front of y, and then we've got 6, and then -3. So boom. Okay, times, and then we want x, y. Those are our variables. Should equal. Wait, do I have the right matrix? Am I looking at the wrong thing? Oh my gosh, I am. Okay, I've got the numbers right now. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video because it's about to end in 20 seconds. But this is A, and this is B when I put it in my calculator. I'm going to go ahead and stop.